Michigan, in my opinion, the second best team in the country at the moment. I think they should be higher than Ohio State.
Yeah.
Another dominant performance. They dominated Penn State. And yesterday they again showed their defense might be better this year than it was last season. And that's saying something. Right. And let's not forget last year, you lost basically 3 first-rounders. Ajabo doesn't tear his Achilles. He's a first-round pick.
Yep.
Ajabo, Hutchinson, and Dax Hill, okay? And you replace it with this unbelievable front seven that is so deep that you don't get a break as an offense playing against Michigan. You got 7 guys rotating in and out on that front 4 that can get after you, and they're damn good players. Michigan have done a great job so far to start the year. The defense has been very good under Minter. That was my one question going into the season. Could Jesse Minter replicate what McDonald did last season without the stars?
Right.
And you know what? To Minter's credit, he has. It's Michigan's season to lose now. And we talk about Tennessee. And does a one-loss Tennessee get in against a one-loss Ohio State or Michigan? I'm going to make the case this morning they should not. That Bama win, LSU, that's a 2-loss Bama now. And they're going to move them back to 10, and then Bama will win out the rest of the games, and everyone will talk about Bama being a three-loss team if they lose to Georgia in the SEC title game. But, you know, in my opinion, even if right now the season ended today, and Ohio State, let's say, beat Michigan, it should be Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, and TCU. I think a one-loss Big Ten team. I think the Big Ten right now has 2 of the 5 best teams in the country. How legit are Oregon, UCLA, USC? How legit are these teams? We're going to have this conversation.
Right.
But for me, I'm not going to punish Ohio State or Michigan for losing the final game of the year against arguably the second or third best team in the country, depending on what the rankings are going into that weekend. Because if you're not going to punish Tennessee, you can't punish Ohio State and Michigan, Jeff. So that's where I'm at this morning. I think this year, buck the trend. 2 Big Ten teams should get in, depending on the result. But I will be honest. If Ohio State loses to Michigan in Columbus, that's a tough sell for me. And because they lose at home. They've struggled in multiple games this year that Michigan won handily. If Ohio State loses, I think then you make the case Tennessee and another champion around the country. But if Michigan loses, I think Michigan earned that right so far this year, given how they've played.
No, and I'm with you. And I want to start by giving credit to Jesse Minter, too, because what we've seen out of Michigan the last couple weeks, and this is a credit, too, is their second-half adjustments. Like, even against Rutgers, they give up 17 in the first half. They shut them out the second half. Michigan State, they gave up that big play to Keon Coleman. Second half, shut them out as well. This defense for Michigan, man, and you talk about the depth they have. Mike Morris had a sack and a half yesterday, or on Saturday, excuse me. The defense looks deeper. J.J. McCarthy, although we talked a lot about the wide receivers Saturday on the college football show, it didn't matter. They completely dominated at the line of scrimmage, and that's something you could see Ohio State kind of, mirroring like last year. I mean, they completely dominated at the line of scrimmage last year against Ohio State, and seeing the depth they have in, yes, J.J. 151 yards, 2 touchdowns. If they can run the ball like that, like they did last year against Ohio State, I guess, if you look at Hassan Haskins had 5 rushing touchdowns last year. Honestly, this could be a recipe for success. I know we talked a lot about it on Saturday as well. Like Michigan, you got to open up the playbook. You got to be more dynamic. Honestly, Adam, I don't know if they do. I really don't. Because if you could dominate the line of scrimmage like they've been doing, because you saw Ohio State in those windy conditions, they couldn't throw the football. They had, averaged 4.3 yards per carry for Mayan Williams. C.J. Stroud ran for 80 yards as well. Michigan's going to dominate them at the line of scrimmage. So, honestly, this game, as we get closer to that Ohio State game, I think people's confidence for Michigan just keep on rising, and rightfully so.
And let's call it what it was. J.J. McCarthy had 3 passes, arguably, that were probably some of the best throws we've seen all season. They were just drops, unfortunately.
Right.
Having said that, look at Michigan. And Michigan, for all you Michigan fans out there, take a few moments just to reflect a little bit on how you got here. Prior to Don Brown being let go, you were going nowhere. Harbaugh was winning you 10 games, but boy, Don Brown was letting you down in the big games. And then you bring in Mike McDonald, young, fresh ideas, and the defense last year really gets you through the whole season. And then this season, it's doing it again, except the offense is playing more effectively. You're more dynamic on third down because of your quarterback.
And that offense translates. It
Absolutely.
can travel anywhere.
They dominate the line of scrimmage.
Right.
And now you have a defense since Don Brown has left. You have only lost one game. That has been to Georgia. Or excuse me, 2 games, Georgia and Michigan State.
Right.
Michigan State was on the road, Georgia college football playoff game. Not bad if you ask me. This Michigan football team is heading in a direction that I haven't seen personally for a program since Clemson. Prior to the national titles, prior to all this, Dabo was winning the 8, 9, 10 games a year, could never get over the hump, and then it was Deshaun Watson, and then it was Trevor Lawrence.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying J.J. McCarthy is that for you, but you have a formula of success that should get you through the rest of the season, should allow you to go to Columbus and at least compete with Ohio State. And again, a loss in Columbus to an undefeated Ohio State, I would argue, is arguably the best or the second best loss in the country. So how are you going to punish Michigan for that? Michigan are in a great spot. The table is theirs to run. I have nothing but good things to say about Jim Harbaugh in Michigan this morning, Jeff.